Have you ever looked around and felt like everyone was playing a part? I know I have. People wear masks every day, pretending to be someone they're not. And for the longest time, I struggled to see through it all. But once I learned to really pay attention to the subtle signs, the unguarded moments, the things people say when they think no one's watching, it felt like unlocking a hidden superpower. I could finally see people for who they truly are, not who they want to appear to be. These insights transformed my relationships, giving me a deeper, more authentic understanding of everyone around me. Here are 9 powerful ways I learned to read people without them even knowing, and I promise, once you see these signs, you'll never look at people the same way again. 1. Watch how they treat people in lesser positions. I once had a work friend who seemed like the nicest person in the world, always kind, funny, and respectful. We clicked right away, and I thought I had a great ally in the office. One day we went to lunch together and I saw a completely different side of him. The moment we sat down, he snapped his fingers to get the waiter's attention and barked his order without even looking up. He was short, dismissive, and treated the staff as if they were beneath him. I felt uncomfortable, but I also felt like I had learned something important. In that moment, I realized that true character is shown not by how someone treats those on their level or higher, but by how they treat those they consider beneath them. This realization has stayed with me ever since. The way people treat waitstaff, janitors, or anyone in a lesser position can be a crystal clear reflection of their character. It's easy to be kind and polite when you're dealing with someone you want to impress. But when there's no incentive, no one to impress, and no social reward for kindness, people's true colors often show. Stoicism encourages us to observe these small, telling moments without judgment, helping us understand the person behind the facade. Over the years, I've come to view these interactions as a powerful test of character. If someone is consistently respectful to everyone they meet, regardless of status, I know they're genuine. They value others for their humanity, not their position. But if they're dismissive, condescending, or rude to those they consider beneath them, it's a red flag. This behavior tells me they only put on a pleasant front when it benefits them. It's calculating, not genuine. I now pay close attention to these signs in my relationships and interactions, and they've saved me from disappointment many times. If someone treats the cashier, the janitor, or the waiter with respect, that's someone I feel comfortable investing my time and energy in. Conversely, if they're dismissive, rude, or entitled, I take it as a warning. In a way, this observation has become my own silent test for authenticity. It's a small but significant detail that reveals the truth about who people really are, a truth they may not even realize they're showing. 2. Body language. During moments of vulnerability. I once had a friend who was always the epitome of confidence. No matter the situation, he seemed unshakable. But one day, during a tough conversation, I noticed subtle shifts in his body language that revealed something deeper. He crossed his arms tightly across his chest, avoided eye contact, and tapped his fingers on the table. I realized that he was feeling exposed and vulnerable, and his body language betrayed the nerves he was working so hard to hide. Observing these moments has taught me how much people's bodies can reveal, especially when they're feeling uncomfortable or insecure. We're all wired to respond physically to stress, and our bodies often betray us in these vulnerable moments. Stoicism teaches us to observe these signs with calm curiosity, avoiding judgment, and instead seeking to understand what might be going on beneath the surface. This insight has helped me connect with others on a deeper level, seeing beyond their words and paying attention to what their bodies are really saying. When I see someone fidgeting, crossing their arms, or avoiding eye contact, I take it as a cue to approach the conversation more gently, acknowledging the discomfort they may be experiencing. It's a way to build trust, showing them that I'm not here to judge, but to listen. And I've noticed it in myself too. If I find myself crossing my arms or tapping my foot, it's a signal that I'm feeling uneasy, even if I'm not consciously aware of it. This awareness has become a powerful tool for understanding myself and others more deeply, allowing me to respond to people's needs with empathy rather than assumptions. Body language is a fascinating window into our unspoken emotions, and paying attention to it has changed the way I communicate. By recognizing these small cues, I'm able to see beyond what people are saying, understanding what they're truly feeling. It's a skill that brings clarity to my relationships, helping me connect with others in a more genuine and empathetic way. 3. Their past is the key to their present. I had a friend who seemed incredibly defensive, often reacting strongly to situations that didn't seem to warrant such intensity. For the longest time, I thought that was just who he was. But as I got to know him, he started sharing parts of his past, stories of betrayal, abandonment, and difficult relationships. Suddenly, his behaviors made perfect sense. Stoicism teaches us to approach others with understanding, looking at them objectively rather than jumping to conclusions. In this case, it allowed me to see my friend's defensiveness as a protective response, a shield he'd built over years of hardship. It made me realize that people's reactions are often influenced by experiences we may not even know about. Someone who's overly cautious or closed off in relationships might be carrying the weight of past betrayals. A person who overreacts to criticism could be reliving the insecurity they felt from being judged harshly as a child. Understanding that people are shaped by their past helps us approach them with more empathy. Instead of taking their behavior personally or assuming it's just who they are, we can consider the unseen experiences that may be influencing their actions. This perspective has shifted how I approach my relationships. If someone seems overly guarded or quick to anger, I remind myself that it might not be about me or the present situation. It could be an echo from their past, a reflection of unresolved pain. By viewing people through this lens, I'm able to approach them with greater compassion, understanding that their actions often stem from places of hurt rather than ill intent. This isn't about making excuses for harmful behavior, but about seeing people more fully. Our pasts shape who we are, often in ways we don't fully realize. When we acknowledge this, we become more forgiving, both toward others and ourselves. Stoicism encourages us to observe life as it is, and understanding the impact of the past on the present is part of seeing clearly. This perspective helps me foster healthier, more understanding connections with others, seeing their struggles and strengths with empathy. 4. Inconsistencies in their stories. I once worked with someone who loved telling stories about their life, adventures, achievements, and all the wild twists and turns. But over time, I started noticing small details in their stories that didn't add up. One day, they'd say something happened in 2018, and then the next time they'd say 2019. At first, I chalked it up to memory slips, but the more I listened, the more I noticed these little inconsistencies. Eventually, I realized there might be more to it. Stoicism teaches us to approach these moments with curiosity rather than suspicion, giving people the benefit of the doubt while observing patterns. I didn't confront them directly, but I began paying closer attention. Sure enough, their stories continued to shift, suggesting that they were either embellishing the truth or perhaps even creating stories to impress others. This experience taught me a valuable lesson about the power of observation. People often reveal more about themselves than they realize through the little details. Inconsistencies can be signs that they're adjusting the truth, maybe to avoid embarrassment, boost their image, or hide something they're not ready to share. It's a subtle but telling behavior that can give you insight into their authenticity. Now, I listen for these clues without jumping to conclusions. If I notice someone's story changes each time they tell it, I take it as a reminder to stay grounded in my perceptions. I may not always know the full story, but these inconsistencies remind me to look beyond appearances, listening carefully for the truth. Sometimes, what people don't say, or what they change, speaks louder than their words. 5. Emotional reactions reveal priorities. During a team meeting once, I saw a side of a colleague I'd never seen before. He was always so calm and collected, but that day when someone suggested a minor change to a project he was leading, he suddenly snapped. His reaction was intense, almost defensive, over something that seemed trivial. Later, I realized that this project wasn't just work for him, it was personal. It reflected his creativity, his effort, and his values. His reaction was a signal that this project held deep meaning for him. This experience made me realize that our strongest emotional reactions are often tied to our core priorities and values. Stoicism teaches us to view emotions as signals rather than flaws, helping us understand people's true motivations. Now, when I see someone react passionately, whether in anger, excitement, or frustration, I ask myself, what does this mean to them? People may not openly share their values, but their emotions can reveal what they hold closest to their hearts. This understanding has changed how I approach relationships. If someone reacts strongly to a suggestion, critique, or compliment, I know it's because it touches something important to them. By respecting these moments, I'm able to show empathy and build deeper connections. I also use this insight on myself, reflecting on my own strong reactions as indicators of my priorities. This perspective has made my relationships more fulfilling, as I'm better able to see what truly matters to others and communicate my values as well. 6. The Tell Me More technique. I was once in a debate with a friend about a silly topic, whether pineapple belongs on pizza. I was ready to counter every point he made, but instead of arguing, I said, "Tell me more." What happened next surprised me. Instead of defending his pizza preference, he started talking about childhood memories, family dinners, and even a funny story about why he disliked pineapple as a kid. The conversation went from light-hearted banter to a deeper connection, all because I chose to listen instead of argue. This experience taught me the power of asking people to elaborate without judgment. Stoicism emphasizes understanding others without attachment or interruption, creating space for them to reveal themselves. Since then, I've used the Tell Me More technique in so many different settings: debates, negotiations, and even casual conversations. It's a simple way to understand people's motivations, insecurities, and dreams. The beauty of this technique is that people often reveal far more than they intend when they feel truly heard. By staying calm and encouraging them to talk, I learn about their inner worlds without pushing or prying. This has become one of my favorite ways to connect with others because it allows them to feel seen and valued. The Tell Me More approach isn't just a conversation tool, It's a way of showing empathy and curiosity, helping me see people as they are and fostering trust. 7. Sudden tone changes. Signal. Lies or hesitation. I had a co-worker who was usually smooth and confident, always delivering his words with charm. But one day, while discussing a deadline, his tone suddenly shifted. His words slowed down, his voice dropped, and he even stammered a bit. It was so unusual that I immediately sensed something was off. Later, I found out he hadn't made any progress on the project he claimed to be on top of. His tone change had been the telltale sign. This experience taught me how much a person's tone of voice can reveal, even more than the words they use. Stoicism encourages us to observe these subtle cues with a calm, objective eye. I didn't confront him right away. Instead, I noted the shift and took it as a clue to listen more closely. Since then, I've learned that tone changes can indicate more than lies. They can reveal discomfort, hesitation, or a struggle within a conflict. Now, I pay close attention to sudden shifts in tone. Whether someone's voice drops, speeds up, or becomes unusually cheerful, it often signals that there's something beneath the surface they're not sharing. This observation helps me navigate conversations more effectively, allowing me to understand what people are really feeling. It's a subtle yet powerful way to gain insight, often saying more about a person's truth than their words ever could. 8. Avoidance of certain topics. I once had a friend who would always dodge any mention of his family. If anyone brought it up, he'd quickly change the subject or make a joke to deflect. Over time, I realized this avoidance wasn't just a quirky habit. It was a way of protecting himself from uncomfortable emotions or memories. Stoicism teaches us to observe these boundaries with respect and curiosity, understanding that people often avoid topics because they hold unresolved feelings or personal insecurities. Since then, I've paid attention to what people consistently avoid discussing, whether it's family, money, or past relationships. It's a subtle clue about their values, priorities, or even pain points. When people avoid certain subjects, they're often signaling a need for privacy or a lack of readiness to confront those issues. By recognizing these boundaries, I'm able to show respect and understanding, connecting with people in a way that feels safe and supportive. This awareness has changed how I approach sensitive topics in relationships. I don't push people to discuss things they're not comfortable with, but I take note of the avoidance as a clue about their personal world. These off-limits subjects often carry more weight than we realize, revealing unspoken parts of someone's identity. Recognizing this allows me to better understand and respect others, fostering a more compassionate and thoughtful approach to my interactions. 9. Most honest moments are when they think no one's watching. I had a manager who was the picture of professionalism and support when our higher-ups were around. But as soon as they left, she became someone else, snapping at the team, showing zero respect, and even making condescending remarks. This taught me a powerful lesson. People's true character often emerges when they believe no one's watching. Stoicism reminds us that genuine virtue isn't dependent on an audience. It's about being consistent, no matter who's around. Since then, I've looked beyond people's public personas, observing how they act in quieter, unguarded moments. Those moments, when there's no one to impress, reveal more about a person's values and integrity than any grand gesture or public statement. I've noticed this in romantic relationships too. In the early days, people put on their best selves, but over time, it's those unobserved moments that show who they really are. When I see someone who's kind, respectful, and patient, even when they're alone or with people they think don't matter, I know they're genuine. Conversely, if they're only nice when it serves them, it tells me their kindness isn't authentic. It's performative. Stoicism teaches us to value these consistent actions as a measure of true character, aiming to live in alignment with our values at all times. Observing others in their unguarded moments has helped me understand them more deeply and reminds me to live authentically myself. Mastering the art of reading people is like having a key to unlock deeper, more genuine connections. By paying attention to subtle cues and unguarded moments, you can see beyond the surface and truly understand those around you. These 9 techniques, inspired by Stoic philosophy, can help you connect with others on a whole new level, while also helping you better understand yourself. If you found these insights valuable and want to keep growing in wisdom and emotional intelligence, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Join us on this journey to see the world and people with clarity and purpose. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more ways to unlock the power of ancient wisdom in your everyday life.